Think you've seen it all? Then try wrapping your head around this. Lights appearing out of nowhere. Phantom trains that pick up passengers and never bring them back. Screams echoing from islands long abandoned. This iceberg isn't just about legends. It's about things that are still happening. What if it's all real? On this iceberg, we're not here to tell you what's true or what's made up. Just the stories. And it's up to you to decide what to believe. Layer 1. Norway, the lights of Hestdalen. In the skies above the Hestdalen Valley, a small and secluded Norwegian village, something flickers on the coldest of nights. Since the early 1980s, glowing orbs have silently drifted through the mountains, hovering above the ground as if they were watching something, or someone, sometimes white, sometimes golden, even bluish at times, always floating, always silent, like unblinking eyes. There are scientific records, there are videos, and there are those who've seen the lights appear just feet away, with no sound, no wind, no explanation. Some scientists suggest a natural cause, chemical reactions in the soil maybe, but the locals, they know better. They feel a different kind of chill when the lights appear. They notice the silence that settles right before, and the unease that only lifts once the lights vanish. The lights still come, though not as often, as if they're in no rush anymore, because whatever is watching can wait. Sweden, Silverpilen, Stockholm's ghost train. Picture yourself alone on a Stockholm subway platform, just before midnight. The air grows colder, the lights begin to flicker. And then it comes. Silverpilen, the silver arrow. Unlike any other train, this one has no paint, no ads, just bare metal, dull and pale, reflecting the station lights with a sickly shimmer. Its windows reveal faces that don't look quite alive, but not exactly dead either. They say if you step onto Silverpilen without realizing it, you may never return. Or worse, you do return, days later, with no idea where you've been, no memory of the ride, just a constant feeling that something was left behind. Its final stop is said to be Kimlinge, a ghost station where only the dead get off. The train is real, the station is too, and sometimes, even though it's long out of service, the Silverpilen still shows up. Finland, the maiden of Olavinlinna. Amid the icy waters of Lake Saimaa stands Olavinlinna, a stone castle that holds a silent tragedy. Legend says a young woman fell in love with an enemy of the crown, and for love, she betrayed the very walls meant to protect her. Her punishment was silence. She was sealed alive within the castle walls, brick by brick, breathing less with each passing moment, hearing the world fade away until there was nothing left to hear. Since then, her sorrow is said to echo through the corridors. She appears as a cold mist in the tallest tower. Visitors claim to hear sobbing as the wind brushes past the stone, and some say they've seen a white figure watching from the highest window, waiting for a love that will never return. Some believe she's forgiven, others swear she never will. The Netherlands, the Flying Dutchman. In the stormy waters near the Cape of Good Hope, sailors fear something worse than the tempest itself, the ghostly silhouette of the Flying Dutchman, a cursed ship, doomed to never reach land, forever lost at sea. The story has many versions, but it always ends the same. Too much pride, too much defiance, and a curse with no end. Accounts from centuries ago to modern times describe the same haunting vision. Tattered sails, a pale otherworldly glow, and a crew desperate to deliver letters to people long since gone. A British prince once claimed to have seen the ship. Not long after, one of his men died under strange circumstances. They say seeing the Dutchman isn't a death omen, but something deeper, a turning point that can't be undone, a shift in your course you'll never come back from. Layer 2. Ireland, Loftus Hall, and the Guest Without a Soul. Along the windswept coast of Wexford, where the storms taste of salt and sulfur, stands Loftus Hall, a grand manor whose walls remember a visit that should never have happened. In the 18th century, on a night cracked with thunder, a stranger knocked on the door. The Tottenham family let him in. He was polite, charming, and deeply wrong. During a game of cards, one of the daughters, Anne, dropped a card. When she bent down to retrieve it, she saw the guest's feet. One was human, the other, a cloven hoof. She screamed. The stranger rose with inhuman speed and shot upward, crashing through the ceiling in a plume of smoke and terror. Anne was never the same. She lived locked away, whispering things no one could hear without losing their mind. She died young, eyes wide open. The room where it all happened is still there. No one stays inside it for long. Switzerland, the White Lady of the Belgian Tunnel. On a quiet highway winding through the Alps lies the Belgian Tunnel. It's modern, safe, but it hides something far older than concrete. Drivers have reported seeing an elderly woman in white, appearing out of nowhere. She asks for a ride in a voice that barely holds together. She sits in silence, until she says something that chills the soul. Something terrible is about to happen, and then, she's gone. Sometimes the seat where she sat stays sunken. Sometimes the seatbelt latches on its own. Once she appeared twice to the same man. Her second warning came with tears in her eyes. What did she see? What does she know? Maybe the White Lady isn't the danger. Maybe she's the warning. And whatever comes after her, no one has lived to tell. Greece, the vampire of Mykonos, Vrikolakas. Sun, music, and the sea. That's how Mykonos is known. But few remember the night when the island shook, not from dancing, but from footsteps rising from the grave. In the 18th century, a violent man died suddenly. He was buried, but didn't stay down. Strange noises started. Things broke. Animals died. People fell ill. And then, knocks on doors. At night, with a voice calling out your name, one you recognized. No one answered. No one dared. It was the Vrikolakas, a corpse that walks, fueled by hate, and cursed to roam until its body is utterly destroyed. They tried a stake. He came back. They tried prayers. He laughed. Eventually they took him to a deserted islet, burned him to ash, and fishermen miles away heard his final scream. Today no one says his name aloud, but sometimes, a knock in the night still silences the whole island. Denmark, the White Lady of Dragsholm. Dragsholm Castle sits between the sea and the fields, so old no one remembers when it was last truly safe. Inside its stone walls lives, or wanders, the White Lady. A nobleman's daughter, she fell in love with a commoner. When her father found out, he did something no father should do. He sealed her alive within the castle walls. No record, no words, just silence, and one oddly shaped stretch of wall. Centuries later, during renovations, workers discovered a skeleton, standing, inside the wall, dressed in white, her gown fossilized by time and betrayal. Ever since, she has appeared, watching, drifting, dancing alone through the halls. Sometimes she cries, other times, she just stares. Witnesses say it's not anger they feel when they see her, not rage, just a sorrow so heavy it feels eternal. Layer 3. Poland, the disappearance of the Witkowice students. In October of 2001, 9 Polish college students left Krakow for a night of camping in the Witkowice forest. Young, full of laughter and plans, they brought tents, food, a camera. They were never seen again. The strange part wasn't just that they vanished, it was what they left behind. The campfire was still burning, food, half-eaten, all their belongings untouched. Only they were gone. Search teams combed the area. Nothing. No footprints. No signs of panic or violence. 6 months later, when friends returned to the site, they found a camera. It belonged to one of the missing. They developed the film. The final shots showed everyone still there, smiling, toasting, but the very last image showed them all standing around the friend who'd found the camera, in the present, but he swears he was never there with them. The fog that night had been thick, and the forest, hungry. Czech Republic, Hauska Castle. Deep in a desolate forest north of Prague stands Hauska Castle, built in defiance of all logic. It has no real entrances facing outward. Its windows are fake. At the center, a chapel sits atop a massive pit said to be bottomless. Before sealing it with stone and prayer, they lowered a prisoner inside. He screamed within seconds. When they pulled him back up, his hair had turned gray, his skin was wrinkled, and his eyes were lifeless. He died days later. What he saw down there, he never said. They say that at night, sounds rise from the ground. Moans, laughter, claws scraping stone. Tourists often report nausea while standing inside the chapel, and some have seen shadows moving from the inside out, even when the door is locked. Huska doesn't protect against evil, it contains it, and the seal may not be holding much longer. Austria, Musham Castle, and the werewolf trials. Between 1675 and 1690, Musham Castle became the scene of trials that teetered between madness and the monstrous. Men and women accused not just of witchcraft, but of turning into wolves, of slaughtering livestock, of eating flesh. Under torture, they all confessed. Every time. And so, they were executed. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Some screamed their innocence to the end. Others laughed as they died. Today the castle is a museum, but the staff refuse to spend the night. Visitors report howls in the dark, claw marks on locked doors, strange punctures in their clothes, and a heavy, suffocating feeling, like being watched by something waiting in the shadows. Some say the real beasts weren't the ones on trial, but the ones who held the rope, and their fangs may still be sharp. Belgium, the Bakken Riders, Devil's Horsemen. In the 18th century, a wave of crimes swept across Belgium, but it wasn't the theft that frightened people, it was how it happened. They said the culprits had made pacts with the devil himself, that they rode flying goats by night, broke into homes without a sound, left before dawn, strange symbols scorched into the walls, and the stench of sulfur. Some were caught, they confessed, always the same wild tales, spoken through screams, carved out by torture. But what about the ones who were never caught? The fear ran so deep, entire villages packed up and moved. Today, forest trails are still known as riders' paths. Old pubs bear their names, and on moonless nights, some say you can still hear hooves on rooftops, as if something is still riding. Layer 4. France, the Beast of Gévaudan. Between 1764 and 1767, the mountainous region of Gévaudan was terrorized by something that defied all understanding of an animal. Men, women, and children were found with their throats open, limbs, eyes frozen wide in the grip of final terror. The attacks continued, always in daylight, always with cruel precision. Witnesses described the creature as a massive wolf, broad-snouted, thick-tailed, with eyes that didn't belong to any wolf, but to something that knew exactly what it was doing. Soldiers were deployed, hunters were paid, many of them died too. The people spiraled into panic. Whispers spread of a demon, of divine punishment, and even after the supposed beast was killed, the attacks still went on, because maybe it wasn't just a beast. Maybe it was something that doesn't die from bullets, something that hunted for the joy of fear and the scent of blood. Portugal, the Yellow House of Ovar. A crumbling mansion, painted yellow, almost mockingly, given what it hides. The story goes that a father, driven mad and bankrupt, took of his own daughter, and in some versions her lover too, to keep his honor from being stained. Then he sealed his fate by himself in the attic. The house never knew peace again, nor did anyone who dared enter. Locals spoke of dragging footsteps, female voices begging, a hanging figure seen from the top floor window, a child sobbing alone in the garden, vanishing when approached. Families who tried to move in fled crying in the middle of the night, many before they could even unpack. The house was abandoned, and even after it was demolished, the land itself remained dead. No building stands there for long. Something in that soil refuses to be forgotten. Italy, Poveglia Island. Poveglia has no trees, only bones. Nestled in the Venetian lagoon, it was once used as a quarantine zone during the Black Plague. Thousands were sent there to agony, burned alive in piles of the infected. Later, it became an asylum. Patients claimed they heard screams, weeping, bells ringing when the air was still. The doctor in charge lost his mind. He jumped, or was pushed, from the tower, his was never found, but to this day, they say the bell still rings, even though it was removed decades ago. The island is now off limits. Boats avoid it, but the few who dare approach report a heavy, suffocating pressure, like the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes pressing down with every step. They say half the soil is human ash, that the souls were never laid to rest, and that the island breathes. Spain, the Vallecas case, Estefania, and the Ouija board. In 1990, Estefania, a teenager in Madrid, played with a Ouija board at school. The ritual was interrupted, and that's when everything began. She started seeing shadows, hearing voices, suffering seizures that defied medicine. Doctors were baffled. Her family witnessed objects flying, doors slamming on their own, and photographs catching fire, only over her face. She died months later, alone, in her bedroom. The cause? Officially, multiple organ failure, but no one knows why. After her death, the hauntings continued. One night, the family called the police. The officers, skeptics, saw the impossible. A cabinet flew open violently, a crucifix was torn from the wall, and an icy cold gripped the entire house. The police report, still available, mentions unexplainable events. No explanation was ever given. But if a soul can be ripped away too soon, maybe Estefania is still trying to return. Layer 5. Germany, the exorcism of Anneliese Michel. Between 1975 and 1976, Anneliese Michel, a young college student from Bavaria, underwent 67 sessions of exorcism. Her parents and 2 priests believed she was possessed by entities claiming to be none other than Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Nero. Different voices, strange languages, and phrases spoken in unison. Her body would twist violently. Her voice was not human. Audio from the session still exists. Some have listened. Some regret doing so. She refused food, claiming the spirits wouldn't allow it. She withered away. In the end, she died weighing less than 65 pounds. The official cause was starvation and pneumonia, but the photos suggest something else, something that defies medical explanation. At the trial, the priests and parents claimed she was full of something that looked out through her eyes, something that laughed while everyone else cried. And even after her death, her grave became a place of vigil, because some say that beneath the soil, she still whispers. Romania, the exorcism of Tanaku. In 2005, in the remote village of Tanaku, a young nun named Irina was bound to a makeshift cross for days, denied food and water, while a priest and 4 other nuns tried to cast out the evil. They said she was possessed, that she screamed in voices not her own, spoke languages she'd never learned, and that her presence darkened the room. When they finally called for help, it was too late. Her body was dehydrated, exhausted, silent. The autopsy gave answers, but not to the real questions. Her eyes were sunken far too deep. Her lips looked chewed from the inside. And the nuns? Some still whisper that she was freed. Others say it wasn't her at all, that what was there is still there, waiting, trapped between prayers and chains. Russia, the Dyatlov Pass incident. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural Mountains, through snow and slicing wind. Weeks later, their bodies were found, scattered, barefoot, some without eyes, one without a tongue. Their tent had been slashed open. From the inside, bare footprints marked the snow, internal injuries like a car crash, yet no outer wounds. One body had orange-tinted skin. Their clothing showed traces of radiation. The Soviet investigation concluded with a phrase that only deepened the mystery. An unknown, compelling force. Case closed. Filed away. Theories followed. Avalanche, military test, a creature, but nothing explains the terror in their faces. The way they fled with no protection, as if from something that didn't need to be seen, only felt. Something that broke the silence of the mountains, and those may have been the first to witness it. United Kingdom, the Enfield poltergeist. Between 1977 and 1979, A modest home in North London became ground zero for a waking nightmare. It began with knocks, furniture moving by itself. But soon, the 11-year-old daughter, Janet, began speaking with a gravelly adult voice. She said she was Bill Wilkins, a man who had died in that house. Investigators heard it. They recorded it. The voice was impossible. It came from inside her, and from the air around her, as if the room itself was speaking. Photos show Janet levitating, not jumping, rising from the mattress as though pulled upward. Objects flew. Doors slammed so violently they tore from their hinges. A crucifix snapped clean in half. One researcher claimed he felt an ice-cold hand on his neck during a recording. When he turned around, nothing. Just Janet, smiling, with Bill's voice. In the end, the activity stopped. But Janet was never the same. And the house? It's still there. Closed. Watched. Maybe waiting. Maybe remembering.